Hi, my name is Wendley and welcome to another gesture drawing critique video. And this time we're going to look at uh, Dennis's drawings. I must say, Dennis, I was quite impressed actually when you sent me these because especially the line quality in them uh, is quite an improvement for from what I've seen from you before. So definitely keep that up. It's really good. You're making you can see you're making uh, more fluid and confident strokes. So definitely keep that up. This is leagues above what I have seen from you up until now. So keep that up, definitely. See, let me lower the opacity. Um, let, let's look at this one. Um, this drawing, I remember the photo reference because I've also used it in one of my tutorials. So I've drawn this pose a couple of times, and what I clearly remember is that the leading edge of this action is up here. She is moving in this direction. And the way you drew it makes it feel like she's moving in this direction. Now all the focus of energy is in this hip. So if the movement were to continue, the way you drew it, it looks like she would be going this way. But in the reference, that is not what was happening. So again, very important to to capture the leading edge of the action because that tells you the intent of the action, where the pose is, where the action is going to rather. So something you might want to pay more attention to in the future. And if you don't remember what the leading edge is, I made a series of videos called Three Keys for Better Gesture Drawing. So definitely take a look at those, and where I explain in more detail about leading edge. Let me see. I'll just go and draw over it. Makes it easier to assess. Just pushing this way. I would say definitely look for the center line of the back. I mean, all I did was I drew a shape for her torso here, and then I drew the center line, and immediately we get a sense of structure. I should lower the opacity just a little bit more. So this is actually all you need, essentially. I mean, I see that you're using these lines to communicate a sense of depth, and at this point, I think use uh, you can use less of these lines really, and start using the anatomy more to define structure and depth. Here I'm thinking about where her hip bones would be, around here, and this leg is pushing in this direction. I think this leg is one long curve like you drew it here. Yeah, I think that this is definitely how the leg would be functioning in this action. So you definitely did a good job in seeing, capturing this long curve. And again here for the knees, in the knee area, I mean, uh, you don't really need all these section lines. I usually only put those like at the ankle. No, it tells me to attach the foot better to the rest of the leg. But at this point, I think you're really ready to start going more into the using the anatomy more to define the structure of the figure instead of relying on these cross contour lines. You could just indicate her calf muscle. Maybe draw a bit of the hamstrings, I believe those are called. Let's see, inside of the foot. And here again, I look for the shoulder blades. I usually just draw the top and this side of the shoulder blade. And then I look at how the arm flows out of that. It goes like this. Then you have the deltoid muscle. You have the lats and I believe it's a teres major and minor muscle back there. But at this point, as I said, you can really start using more of the anatomy to define structure and give a sense of volume instead of just relying on those cross contour lines. And this will also reveal to you what areas of the anatomy you need to study more. And I'm talking from experience here because, as you probably know, I too was using a lot of these cross contour lines, spheres, boxes, and cylinders. But when I decided to stop using that, it revealed to me where the gaps in my knowledge of anatomy were. And then I went and did some studies and came back and really started to understand the figure in more detail. Okay, you have the head, attaching, the hair back here. As I'm drawing uh, her hair, notice that I'm not just placing a generic circle, I'm thinking about the shape. And if you look at the reference, you can most definitely uh, see a variety, uh, a uniqueness, I should say, rather, in the shape. And you don't have to draw every bump of it, of course. Just look for the essence of the shape. What's the overall shape of the air? Because if you just draw this, this is very generic. It lacks character. Instead, you can start using straights and curves to make it more interesting. This has more character than this. This is generic. Okay, so you would have the ear. So overall, you did a good job on this pose, definitely. Just the leading edge was missing, actually. Wasn't really matching what was happening in the reference. So yeah, definitely pay more attention to match the leading edge of the pose in the future, and uh, especially when drawing the arms from the back, you should look for the shoulder blades. It helps tremendously, I have found, in placing the arms properly. Okay, let's look at this one. Hmm. This one is a tricky one because if you don't really understand rhythm, I think you would have a hard time solving uh, this pose. You would have a hard time matching uh, what is really happening, what was really happening in the model's body in your drawing. I think you came pretty close though, because when I look at this post, what is happening is really that you have a big curve here which goes this direction. Then that curve is pushing out here. Then it is picked up here. So you have a curve that comes all the way to the shoulder, to the back, and then is picked up by the midsection, then goes back to the hip area. Okay, and then this curve is picked up here, goes through the hand, got the fingers, over the wrist there. And then to support these curves, I would put a straight or a straighter line here. And you can build the rib cage on top. Let me see. So you have curve here and here, and then it flows into the head, here to here. This is hanging. So to solve this pose, I'm really looking for rhythm. I'm really looking at an abstract level what is happening in the figure, because if I miss that, then it's easy uh, to miss the big picture of what is happening really, and things start looking off and odd. Okay, so let's see. Shoulder. Um, this flows into the deltoid muscle, and these lines that you are drawing at the center of the limbs, you don't really need that actually. I mean, just by drawing, I mean, you could have left that out and just draw the lines that you drew for the arm, and that would be enough. So especially in a quick drawing, it takes time to draw all these extra lines. So um, I would say if you don't really need it, don't use it. This goes over the top of the shoulder, and then this is one long curve flowing in this direction. Then I would start building the shapes of the arm on top. Mm, flows there, center line. Mm, hip bones, legs. Mm, and again here in the legs, you don't really need all these cross section lines. You can just use the anatomy actually. So just capture the major masses. Mm, so yeah, just capture the major masses and use the anatomy really to uh, to describe what is happening with the leg. So let me see here. Here would be a great place. So you can just like indicate the tendons of the muscle, and then draw calf or the lower leg, I would say, out of that, over the heel. Mm. Yeah, so overall this you did a great job in this pose. So here again, use more of the anatomy and let me see, and definitely keep looking for rhythm. I see that you did a great job in seeing what was happening here. And remember that in order to create more interesting shapes, you can contrast the curves with straights actually, or straighter lines at the other side, and then build your figure on top of that. Um, so yeah, let's look at the other one. Hmm, For this one, I would say to pay more attention to what was happening with the shoulder, in the shoulder area here, because things start looking a bit odd. I think you have a long curve coming all the way from here. This is pushing more like this. So mm, let me see. Yeah, I would definitely put more trust in this area. Then I put a straight on this side to support the curve that I have in this area. Mm, Think about the hip bones, go over the thigh, back of the calf, top of the foot. Put a straight on the other side of the curve. And here again, use the anatomy. Draw the bones, block in some of the muscles. We put in the kneecap there. Then you start getting a little off here. Need a little more mass. So again, look for center line. For the other hip, how this leg is attaching to it. Pushing back. This leg is supporting all the weight, so I'm definitely feeling the tension here. This curve is picked up by the back of the heel, and it goes to the top of the foot. It shoots out from the toe, from the toe. Uh, yeah, it shoots out from the toes. Then I put a straight there. And this whole straights and curves thing is really an abstraction to help you uh, design interesting shapes forceful shapes, full shapes that have a sense of fluidity and energy to them. No, so as you see, I draw the straights first, and then I continue building the figure on top. You see, so this curve at the back here, and then it flows. I'm feeling how this flows into the head. Head. So this first line that I drew here is not really uh, it's not really an outline of the bottom of the chin of anything. I was just feeling the rhythmic relationship between the back and the the head. It just helped me to place it properly, and then I come back in and I'll draw the neck and stuff. I think you captured what was happening here in the shoulder quite properly. Definitely go like this and then shoot out, then go this, put a straight, start building on top. So overall your drawings are pretty good. Again, as I said, I was quite impressed with the quality of these drawings. So for you, um, definitely keep uh, drawing with these fluid and confident strokes, and start using more anatomy to define structure instead of relying on these cross contour lines. And definitely pay more attention to uh, how the legs attach to the hips, because that seems to be an area that you tend to struggle with. It's placing the hamstrings muscles here. This should be lower because if the hip is here, we've got gluteus muscles. Yeah, so hopefully you got some new insights as to what you can improve from this feedback, and I look forward to see your next drawings. Alright, and I see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.